Okay, so I just went and find those photos as we used before. Actually, you remember the red eye and the low contrast. This would be a rotated one. This could be a crop one. So first, when you do Lightroom, you can use the library. These are the kind of very simple presets you can use just to click, but I don't usually use them. It's just that I will go to select this one. I'll show the develop module. So you have more features into this one. You also got the famous histogram that you've seen before, and these are the tools that you can modify your pictures with. The thing about the Lightroom is what is nice is just that it doesn't destroy the original. The original are there, they will stay there, and they'll keep as what it was. When you do some modification to it, in order to make sure that the modification stays with it, you have to go and say File, Save, or Export. Okay, and you gotta export it as a JPEG or whatever format you want. So this, as I mentioned before, a picture like doesn't seem to be correctly. So if I go to this part over here, I can say, well, I wanted to use a crop tool, or this is a good rule of thirds. If you want to see, like, yeah, this is pretty good. That if you want to see that you took a picture of really a good rule of thirds, you can use that. In this case, if I'm looking at this, you go into any corners that you want, and if you move away from it, is kind of a spinner. Now you can see that, oh, in the picture, if you look where the white wave is in the middle, like this white wave, you can see that it's not exactly correctly. So if I'm going to click and drag to make it look a little bit more, or even the horizon, that's even better, the horizon there. And then you can see that I'm going to click onto this, and then that's more being straight. So if I press onto enter, it will do that. So now my picture, and as I mentioned in classroom, the water is not falling off the picture. It's actually staying there. So that would be one of those that when you can use a rotate, and afterwards you can do all the modification that you need. But for us, for now, that's the first one. I wanted to show you now the next one, which is the red eye tool. So this is the one over here. If you click on this one, which is the same way, the same as the actual oh, sorry, I clicked the wrong thing. Photoshop, it's not as like the same way. So you have to go and click and drag. So clicking for the middle, and click and drag to see what's the size. Put them as close to the edges you want, and then just let it go, and it will do its same job as before. So you gotta, this case, I'm gonna click and drag. You could, I think you could have just click on it in this one. Put it close enough, and we'll do the same thing. So now when you're going to want to get out of it, you say, okay, well, and then there's some other features you can use, but just as a really quick deal. And if you want to see the before and after, what is nice is just like you can see the history, all of what you've done so far. You can actually go and just delete whatever you need to. This was the original, and this is the afterwards when it's done. A quick look at is just that if you use the backslash onto your keyboard just above the enter key, and you just like go click, that's the before, and it tells you that's the before and then the after. The next one I want to show you is just the crop tool. So again, you can use the famous crop overlay or a rotate. So if you got a good picture with good resolution, I think this one is pretty good. And I want to, like for me, this is maybe a distraction, so you want to crop it in order to look at that dog even closer. So what I usually do is always on to shift onto the keyboard and then click onto the corner and just drag. What this does, it just creates, it keeps the same ratio for the photo. So I'm just going to go like this, and I'm going to go maybe like really making really tight, as I mentioned before. So now I get over here, if I look at this format, it's just that, oh, I get close to the rule of thirds. And if I press on to enter, or you can see how it's going to look like right over here. If you press enter, there we go. So it's still like really not in focus, but anyways, it's just to show you that the crop tool. So this is the before. It'll take a little while before it does that. Maybe. Come on. Okay, it's not fast enough for me. Anyways, so there you go. You get your picture that you can actually make it closer. So this one over here, this is the next one that I showed to you, and I said before that you can actually just change it into Photoshop. As you can see, the histogram is really not correctly, but in this case what you can do is just that you can actually fix the one quick tool. You can press onto the auto, and it does a pretty good job, but it's not what I really want to do. The exposure, obviously, I don't want to be plus. I want to make it a little bit more like the original. What I want to do is that I want to bring the contrast. So if you're going to go and bring the contrast in, okay, and then just lower the brightness a little bit. No, not the brightness, and bring the black points really better, a little bit more, so that would create a more contrast, and I'll reshape, well, not reshape, but rebuild the colors that was in the picture before. And then here's another one. This is like the preferences. You can use the clarity. That will make it a little bit more like sharpening the picture. Usually we should always do that. Vibrance, never use it. Don't ever use it. And then saturation, if you click onto that, you can just make the colors even more saturated. So if I look at this one, I'll try the before and after. If it's going to go, oh, this one is working better, before and after. So the same thing as Photoshop, but just a little more like click and drag, and you can see the actual things that you're going to be doing. So this was just a quick way to show you how to make the develop, use the develop module into the Lightroom and edit. So I'll show you more of that in another video of more little details.